Yes.
So for the material profit thing, what if, like, for example, like a temple, we need money to like do a thing, like at festivals we say, let's do this festival to get the money to raise the temple. So would that wouldn't be counted as material profit?
You're not doing it for yourself, right?
It's the point too is about material profit for yourself.
Yes. But, let's put it like this. If whatever you do is purely to please Krishna, if Krishna is pleased, other people will be pleased too, right? Especially honest people will be pleased. So then you don't have to worry about money, because Krishna will provide it. Just like, we were able to raise the money to pay off the mortgage, right? So, if the consciousness in the temple is right, if people are actually, don't make that noise, okay? If the devotees in the temple are happy and they're chanting Hare Krishna enthusiastically, then that type of enthusiasm is infectious. What does that mean? It spreads, yes. So anyone that comes to the temple, they say, wow, there's so many devotees here, and they're all happy, and they're chanting, and wow, I like that. And I think I'll keep coming back because I like what I see. Yeah? Yeah? Did you say, you wanted to say something? Okay, what is it?
Basically, like it spreeds to a lot.
Yes, it spreads. Why? Because people like to be happy. When they see a large group of people that are happy, that attracts them. Just like if we go on Sankirtan and there's only 2 people, So that's okay, but if you go out with 60 people and they're all nicely dressed and they're all chanting Hare Krishna, then that attracts more people. People attract people, right? It's like a magnet. The less people you have, the less people you attract. The more people you have who are enthusiastic, the more people you attract. So 1, no material, it should be done favorably. 2, there shouldn't be any thought of material profit for oneself. And 3, it should be without any philosophical speculation. And number 4, so hold up 4 fingers. Number 4, it shouldn't stop. It's not interrupted, right? So these are 4 symptoms of pure devotional service. So when one reaches a state of bhava, this beginning state of love of God, where one is feeling real happiness every time they chant. Yes?
If you're doing it like because the service is fun, would that be like giving material profit?
No. Okay, fun is like this. And we discussed this, I don't think you were there, but we discussed this. Let's say you're in a class, right? And someone comes and is sitting in front of you, right? And before they sit down, you pull the chair out, and when they sit down, they fall down. You guys were laughing just now, right? Is it funny? Is it funny? Huh? No, but would everyone else laugh in the class? Yes. Okay, what are they laughing at? Yeah, and they're laughing at somebody else's misery. In other words, when they see someone else suffering, it's funny. Right? Is that the right way to feel? When someone, how about if you were the person that, ended up on the ground and everyone else was laughing, how would you feel? So you see, when we take pleasure at seeing other people suffer. That is a demoniac quality. And most, let's say, comedy nowadays is seeing other people suffer. And people are laughing at it. Right? And it's a very low-class type of entertainment. So, your question was, if you feel happy, is that a type of profit, right? When you chant Hare Krishna. Is that what your question was?
Yeah, when you're doing service, like if are you making material profit, it's like fun to you're doing service.
Is it
Doing that service becomes
is it wrong to do?
Well, this brings up a point that the nature of the soul is to be happy. But is it the type of happiness derived by seeing other people suffer? No. That's material happiness. The happiness of the devotee is seeing other people advance spiritually. Put your hand. I don't want to see your tongue, your throat. Okay, so there's a different type of happiness of the devotee. The devotee becomes happy when he sees other people advancing spiritually and feeling genuine happiness, not the happiness where you see somebody else suffering and say, oh, look at that dumb guy, it's funny. It's not funny. It's actually demon happiness. We're talking about devotee happiness now. So, let's say, okay, so Hari, let's say you see your friend and he's chanting Hare Krishna and he's feeling happy and he's dancing happily and he's singing nicely and he's playing the mridanga nicely. Would that make you happy? Or would you get jealous? You sure? You wouldn't get jealous? All right. Okay. So, if you feel happiness at seeing others advancing spiritually, that is spiritual happiness. Right? So, when Prabhupada came to America, someone asked him, they said, he said, what do you think a hippie is? And Prabhupada said, well, you know what a hippie is. And, he said it's something very, very strangely wonderful. So everyone was laughing, the way Prabhupada said that. He said, yes, I've come to America to make the hippies happies. So, to make the hippies happies. So in other words, that is sort of like a summary of what Prabhupada was trying to do. He was trying to take these young people in America who were all protesting against the Vietnam War and who were taking all kinds of drugs and living in difficult situations. And he made them happy by giving them prasadam, by giving them Hare Krishna Mahamantra, by giving them a place to stay, a shower, clean clothes, and so forth. And they became happy. Happy in a spiritual sense, right? Not happy by taking drugs and going to rock concerts and taking more drugs. They became happy simply by prasadam and chanting and dancing and festivals. So, Prabhupada became happy seeing the devotees happy. It says, the spiritual master is always offering 4 kinds of delicious food, analyzes that which is licked, chewed, drunk, and sucked. When the spiritual master sees that the devotees are satisfied by eating Bhagavat prasadam, he's also satisfied. Right? So that's the sign of hey, Mayapur, stand up. Mayapur. Stand up. Come over here, stand up. Listen to the class. How many fingers did we discuss? Okay, what's number 1? devotional service should be? Favorable. Right? And number 2, you shouldn't perform devotional service for material profit. No philosophical speculation. And number 4 is, it should be uninterrupted. There should be no stopping. Okay, so stand up over here. Just come over here and stand up. Stand up. I didn't say bend down. Okay, put your hands up like this. You jump up and down a little bit. Jump up and down. Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. Everybody say Haribo, Haribo. Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. Yeah, very good. See? No, he's smiling now. Remember, we didn't say sit down. We said stand up. Okay, so when you see other people happy because they're advancing in Krishna consciousness, and you feel happy, that is spiritual happiness. And if you see someone else going backwards in spiritual life and falling down and not chanting and talking nonsense, if you feel happy seeing that, that means you're a demon. But if you feel sad and it makes you want to do something, talking nonsense, to help that person, that means you're a devotee. Right? Okay, so now Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that when a person is able to come to Krishna consciousness and see the value of it, that means they're very fortunate. Very, very fortunate. It means that after going through so many births and deaths, they come to the human form of life. Okay, Mayapur, come on, stop. Sit over here, right over here. Sit right over here. Keep going. Sit right there. Right there on the carpet. Yeah, that's it. Good. Okay. Everyone watch Mayapur. See, make sure he doesn't fall asleep. Okay. Everyone's watching you, Mayapur. If he falls asleep, you go like this. Okay. Okay. So, that means a person is very fortunate that after so many births and deaths, they came to Krishna consciousness and they realized the value of it. And then, when a person goes further and they say, well, you know, I want to do devotional service, but without any material desire, simply to do it to please Prabhupada and Krishna. That means they're even more fortunate because they want to engage in devotional service without material profit, right? So first thing is to render service favorably. What? Which one is that? One. And then to do it without material profit, number 2. And no philosophical speculation, number 3. And number 4, uninterrupted. Number 3 is what people do in school. They don't know the answer to a question, so they just make up something. They say, I think, maybe, what if, suppose that. And they use phrases like that, and they just make up some explanation. They don't really know what the answer is.
You see, like most likely, it's 7.5,
Well, okay, yeah. I mean, they don't know the answer, so they're making up some answer. That's called philosophical speculation. Okay? All right, so then the devotee decides to associate with good devotees, not bad devotees who are like speaking in the class and disturbing other people, right? But with good devotees who know how to listen and focus and learn something. In other words, every time there's a class, you should learn at least one thing, right? So have you learned one thing today?
Yeah, I learned 4 things.
Okay, what are they? Go ahead, let me hear.
Um,
Oh, wait a minute. Didn't you say something? Didn't you say you learned 4 things?
I said that. I learned
Okay, all right. What are the 4 things? Let's go over them again.
okay, so the first
So what is this talking about? What is the subject?
4 symptoms.
Yeah, 4 symptoms of pure devotional service. Okay. What's number 1?
one is I have to do it by your own will. To do service by your own will.
No. Okay, Mayapur, what's number 1? Yes, can you say that, Mayapur? Okay, very good. And what's number 2? Wait a minute, go ahead. Yes, go ahead. Yeah, without desire for material profit, right? And what's number 3? Yeah, exactly. No philosophical speculation, right? And then what's number 4? Uninterrupted, right? So did you learn one thing today?
4 things.
You learned the definition of pure devotional service, right? So if anyone in school asks you, well, what's this devotional service about? You tell them 4 points. Okay? So now, when one desires to associate with devotees, because they like the happiness of the devotees, they like the fact that they're working without material desires, they simply please Krishna, they're doing things that are only favorable to Krishna. In other words, we discussed previously the 6 points of logic. Anybody remember what they are? 6 points of logic. You don't remember? Wait? Okay, I'm waiting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, I can't wait anymore. Don't put your finger in your mouth. Right? From now on, instead of putting your finger in your mouth, put your finger in your nose. How's that? Okay? Okay. So what are the 6 points of logic? Now we know what the 4 points of pure devotional service are. Okay, what are the 6 points of logic? Point number 1. Point number 1. Stick your finger in your nose. Is that number 1? No. Okay. Yes, Arush. Yes. What's number 2? Yes, Mayapur. Yes. Yes. And what's number 3? Arush. Yeah. No. Yeah. Well. Okay. Okay. That's number 3, and then number 4 is never forget Krishna. Okay. What's number 5? Yes.
When in doubt, ask
Very good, Mayapur. And what's number 6? Huh? Okay. Okay, so actually there's 7. Number 6 is Samsiddhir Hariptoshanam. Only do things that are pleasing to Krishna. And number 7 is, huh? No. Number 7 is, number 7 is Guru Shastra, Guru Shastra Sadhu Vaikya Chitete Koriya Aikya, which means always subject any decision to the triangle of verification. What's the triangle of verification? Huh? Yes. So, what's an example of submitting something? Let's say someone comes up to you in school and says, "Hey, Hari, smoking marijuana is cool." So how do you subject that to the triangle of verification? So, did any guru say that smoking marijuana is good? Did any sadhu or previous acharyas, meaning sadhus, previous acharyas say? Did Krishna ever say in Bhagavad Gita, smoke marijuana?
And scientists say it's bad too.
Well, no, we don't care what the scientists say, because some scientists say it's good. We don't care what they say. We only care what Krishna says, the acharyas say, and the bona fide guru says. So, were you able to close the triangle for marijuana? No. Because nobody said it's good. Neither the guru, neither the... Yes. It says the opposite. So you weren't able even to close one point. There's 3 points in the triangle, you couldn't close them. Right? So, therefore we have 7 points of logic now. 7 points of logic. And 4 points that define what pure devotional service is. Right? What's point number 1, my friend?
Remember Krishna?
No. Point number 1 of pure devotional service, not point 1 of logic. Yes.
Devotional service favorably?
Yes, favorably. It means it should be pleasing to Guru and Krishna, right? And point number 2. Yes.
Point number 2 is to do it for not desiring any material
Material profit. Yeah. Point number 3, yes. Yeah, philosophical speculation. Yeah. And number 4. Uninterrupted. Yes. So those are the 4 points of pure devotional service. Okay. So now, in the association of devotees, the more one becomes interested in hearing and chanting, the more one becomes purified of material contamination. Yes?
Isn't there like this thing where you ask 3 questions, like, is it good, or like, is it
Yes. You want to learn that again?
I forgot the other 2 questions.
Yeah. Well, if someone says, "Hey, Hari, I want to tell you something." So you say, "Okay, but you have to answer 3 questions before you tell me." And they say, "All right, well, but I really want to tell you." He said, "Well, I don't want to hear unless you answer these 3 questions." And the person says, "Okay, what's the first question?" I said, "Is it true or false?" "I'm not sure." Okay. Number 2.
Can I write them down?
No, your notepad is right here. You have to learn how to use that notepad, right? So, number 2, will it help me in my devotional service? They say, no. And number 3, okay, well, let's just say 2 things. Just 2 things. Yeah?
Is the third one real
Yeah, okay, let's say that's number 3. Yeah. Is it pleasing to Krishna? Okay.
Yeah, it was.
Well, wait a minute. We don't know. The person, some guy came up to you in class and said, "Hey, Hari, I got something to tell you." So you say, "Okay, before you tell me, you have to answer these 3 questions." Right? Is it true or false? Well, they say, "I don't know." Right? Yeah. And will it help me in my Krishna consciousness? They say, "Well, probably not." And number 3, is it pleasing to Krishna? And I say, "Well, I don't even know who Krishna is." So now, what's your answer then? I don't want to hear it, right? So, that's a way to eliminate listening to nonsense. Someone says, "I want to tell you something." You can ask them these 3 questions. And if they can't, even if one of them is no, then you say, "I don't want to hear it." Yeah.
But in school and even in businesses,
Yeah.
what do you mean we can hear a lot of things in order to, in later in life, be able to serve Krishna? In school, we might hear nonsense or stuff, but out of that nonsense, there might be a few things that would be useful.
If something is nonsense, how would it be useful?
Well, we might think it's nonsense, but couldn't it still be unuseful later in life?
Well, let's put it like this. Okay, let's say the person wants to tell you about the notes from yesterday's class. Okay. So you say, number 1, is it true or false? I say, well, it's true. It's the notes that I took down. Okay. And number 2, will it help me in my Krishna consciousness? Well, it's a class about math. If you learn, how to add and subtract and divide and multiply, it'll help you in the future. If you'll be able to use that in Krishna's service. Okay. Is it pleasing to Krishna? Well, it's pleasing to Krishna if you know how to, if you know simple math, right? Because you'll be able to manage a temple or manage your own finances. So then you say, okay, I want to hear what was discussed in math class yesterday. Okay? So, is it true or false?
True.
Will it help me in Krishna consciousness? 3. Is it pleasing to Krishna? Okay, so now you have a way of filtering out nonsense. Just like, if water has dirt in it, if you pass it through a filter, what happens? The dirt gets caught in the filter and just pure water comes out. So, how do you know? If you have a good filter, it'll take out all the impurities. So now, you need to filter things that go in here, and go in there, and go in there, and go in here. You have to be able to filter them. So you only have pure things going in the 9 holes of the body. Who knows the 9 holes of the body? Yes.
Mouth, nose, ears, eyes, head.
No. Eyes, yes. You have 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 1 mouth, 2 ears. So that's 2, 4, 6, 7. Huh? Yeah, the other 2 are the genital and the anus, right? So there's 9 holes. So whoever or whatever you let enter those 9 holes determines who you are. So, therefore, if you watch nonsense, if you hear nonsense, you eat nonsense, you speak nonsense, you smell nonsense, and do other nonsense, then what happens? you become a nonsense. Right, exactly right. So you have to filter things that enter the different holes of the body. Yes, Mayapur.
You know, like, I was listening to a class and it said that if your soul comes out from your bottom, it goes to the lower
Dark
It
planets.
goes from your head, it goes to the higher planets, and if it goes through your ear, it goes to like the lowest planet. And after, if it goes through your
Mouth.
mouth, it goes to the house planet. If it goes through your nose,
Not necessarily. If the last thing you say with your breath is Hare Krishna, where do you think you go?
from your
Now you go back to Godhead.
from your mouth.
Yeah. But if the last thing you do is pass bad air, what do you think happens? Right? Where do you think you go? You go up or down?
Down.
You're really far down. Yeah. Where are you going, Krishna? To one? You just passed bad air. Where are you going?
I didn't. That pronounced it.
Who did?
With loud.
Oh, your mouth. Okay. Yes.
I mean, that doesn't mean like you just do nonsense your entire life. At the very last second, go Hare Krishna. You won't be able to.
You won't even be able to.
Be very difficult. Be very difficult.
In terms of things, where have you done the most in your life?
That's what you remember.
That's you'll see the pictures.
Life will be
You'll see Mickey Mouse. What happens if you see Mickey Mouse? The last thing you.
You become a boss and you don't
What? Well, prasadam is non-different than Krishna, right?
Do you need to think about it, or you just need to see it?
You see it or you think about it, it's the same thing.
When you're about to die, does it like feel like you're like turning into like some like thousand times?
Well, look, you're dying every minute.
How?
Yeah, but every minute you're coming closer to death. You're getting older every minute. As soon as you're born, you begin to die. Right? So, how does it feel right now? Normal?
I'm growing every single minute.
What?
But you're dying.
But you're actually dying. You're coming closer to death. Every minute that goes by, you're coming closer to death.
So like I'm basically gonna die in like. What if someone?
No, but see, every minute, you have cells that are born and cells that die. Every second, there's cells that are born and cells are dying. Right? So,
So like.
you like your fingernails, your hair, there's stool, there's urine, all these things are coming out of your body, and they're actually dead. Right? So, therefore, there's two ways of looking at life. As soon as you're born, you begin to live, or as soon as you're born, you begin to die. Which is the correct way of looking at life?
Die.
Yes. Therefore, you should use every moment to become Krishna conscious. Since your worldview is, as soon as you're born, you begin to die. Okay, so now, in the association of devotees, one will develop an interest in hearing and chanting about Krishna. And the more one hears and chants, the more one purifies the consciousness or material contamination. Okay. So this is called anartha nivriti. In the association of good devotees, and especially if one accepts a bona fide guru, the guru helps us get rid of all unwanted things. It's called anartha nivriti. So we accept unwanted things out of ignorance. Like a spinner, right? You still have your spinner? What happened? Did your mom take it away from you?
I don't know, I put it somewhere and it's just
Do you feel any separation from your spinner? No, okay. But when you first got it, were you attached to it? You say that's an unwanted thing. Does it advance your Krishna consciousness by having a spinner? No, not at all. So, the more we hear and chant, the more we lose interest in unwanted things. And it simplifies our life so we can focus our mind on Krishna. Okay, so what did we learn today so far? Let's go over it one more time. Yes, Sai. Just say the things. No, you don't have to say each point. Just say point 1, what did you learn?
The symptoms of devotional service.
Pure devotional service. Okay. Point 2.
The 6 steps for logic.
7 steps now. 7 steps. What? The 5th step of logic. Right. The 5th one is when in doubt, ask Siksha or Diksha Guru. Okay, and go ahead. What else did you learn?
We learned when the soul, departs the body, which hole, if it passes through the nose, it will go through the hellish planet.
Well, we didn't really go over that. No, we learned something else. It's called the filter. What's the filter?
Oh, the filter.
Yes. So the filter of what? Yeah, the filter of nonsense. So what are the 3 questions?
Is it true or false?
Point 1. Point 2. Will it help me in Krishna consciousness? Yes. Point 2. Is it pleasing to Krishna? Yes. So if the person who wants to tell you something answers no to any of those 3 questions, then you don't really want to hear it, right? Okay. So we learned 3 things for sure today, right? We learned that. No, it's not done. What's done is your memory. We're trying to remember something from the end of the class. If I just keep speaking and bringing up different points, you won't remember anything. After the class, you'll say, "Wow, it was a great class. I didn't understand anything. I can't remember anything." But if after the class you say, "Well, I learned one thing today," right? Okay, what is that one thing you learned today, Maya? Yes? Okay, no. First thing we learned today was the definition of pure devotional service, right? And then the second thing we learned was the 7 points of logic. And the third thing we learned was the 3 questions to filter out nonsense. Huh? Huh? A triangle is the 7th point of logic, right? And then, but we're just talking about the things that we learn, not every point of it. So the first thing was what is pure devotional service? Number 2, the 7 points of logic. And number 3, the 3 questions to filter out nonsense. Okay. So now, we're going to learn something interesting. And that is the symptoms of a person. Mayapur, look how many fingers are pointing at you. You were sleeping. Okay. So, the symptoms of someone who has reached the stage of bhava. The bhava is a stage of feeling ecstasy every time you say the word Krishna, right? So there are people who become ecstatic every time they say Hare Krishna. They just want to start dancing and they become happy. Right? So the first symptom of someone who's reached the stage of bhava. Okay, stand up if you're falling asleep. The first symptom of someone who reaches a stage of bhava is called perseverance. What does that mean? Perseverance. Anybody know? Yes. Yes. What were you going to say? What? The same thing. Okay. Yeah, perseverance means that you can remain tolerant and patient, and even when there's disturbance, you persevere. You're able to withstand all adverse conditions. It's called perseverance. So this is one symptom of a person who is in the state of bhava, ecstatic state of chanting Hare Krishna. Yes?
Like a pure devotee, when he faces an obstacle, he thinks that it's the mercy of Krishna and it's a test of Krishna.
Yes. Yeah, so he remains patient and tolerant. Okay, Mayapur, stand up so no one has to waste their time pointing at you. Just stand up. Okay, good. Jump up and down. Jump up and down. Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. Very good. Okay. So, that's point one of a person, to recognize if a person is in the state of bhava, that of ecstatic state. Every time they chant Hare Krishna, they become ecstatic. Point number two, they know how to use their time and they never waste a second. Okay, then just stop meditating on him. Point number two. What's point number one? Point number one of bhava. Yes.
They become ecstatic when they hear Hare Krishna.
No, perseverance. Perseverance. Perseverance means they become tolerant and patient, and even when there's a lot of disturbance, they're not disturbed. They're patient and tolerant. And they persevere. Okay. Now, number two is they don't waste 1 second on nonsensical things. They keep their mind focused. Like, for example, if you want to become good at memorizing things, I'm going to give you the secret.
Yes.
Constant repetition. In other words, if you kept a journal of 24 hours in a day, what you were thinking about during those 24 hours, how much of it would be Krishna and Bhagavad Gita?
Like, not even an hour.
An hour? You mean not even a minute? So, when you keep a journal and almost 24 hours a day you're thinking about Krishna, that is called avyarta kalatvam, using your time properly, not wasting 1 second. If you develop that habit of constantly focusing on Krishna, then you can memorize things very easily. The reason we have difficulty memorizing things is because most of the time our mind is not focused on
How do you
Krishna.
control your mind?
Well, once upon a time there was a king, and he was a nice guy. So he would send out one of his ministers every Saturday and Sunday to the market, the bazaar. They had this big Saturday, Sunday market in this kingdom, and whoever didn't sell anything at the end of the day, his minister would buy whatever they had left, so that they would go home with money. The merchants would go home with money. So he was a nice guy. So one day, the king's representative is walking through the market, at the end of the market, and there's one guy who was selling an old lamp, and he couldn't sell it. So he came up and said, "Sir, did you sell everything today?" He said, "Nope." He said, "What didn't you sell?" I said, "This lamp." He said, "How come nobody bought it?" He said, "Well, it's a special lamp." He said, "What's so special about it?" I said, "There's a genie in it. And he's a mad genie." He said, "Well, what does that mean?" He said, "Well, if you rub the lamp like this, and you say, 'Genie, genie, come out,' this big guy comes out." He goes, and he says, "Master, tell me what to do, otherwise I'll kill you." And, so nobody wanted to buy my lamp. He said, "Well, the king told me to buy whatever's left over, so I'll buy it. How much is it?" He said,
They keep on climbing up and
"Okay, well, are you going to ruin the story for everyone else, or are you going to listen?" Okay. So, the king's representative bought the lamp, took it back to the king, and the king said, "What's this?" He said, "It's a lamp that has a genie in it." He says, "A genie?" He said, "Yeah, but it's a mad genie." He said, why is he mad?" He said, "Well, if you rub the lamp like this, and he comes out, and then he says, 'Master, master, tell me what to do, otherwise I'm going to kill you. I'm getting nervous.'" He said, "Wow, that's scary." He said, "How big is he?" He said, "Oh, I don't know. I didn't see, but the man said he's pretty big." He said, "Well, let's give it a try." So the king rubs the lamp, "Genie, genie, come out." This big smoke comes out, and this gigantic genie comes out. He's like 30 feet tall. And he says, "Master, tell me what to do, otherwise I'll kill you." And he said, "Okay, well, I have some enemies on the western side of my kingdom, go and conquer them." He said, "Oh, yes, master." And then he comes right back there. He said, "They're all defeated, master. What's next? I'm getting nervous, master. I'll kill you." He said, "Okay, now I want to till all the land. Get it ready for planting." He said, "Yes, sir." And he goes, runs back there. "Master, it's all done. What's next? Tell me what's next." He said, "Okay, now plant it all." He said, "Okay." And he goes, so now the king's getting really worried, because, he's starting to run out of ideas to tell him what to do. So he comes back and says, "Now, master, what's next? I finished all the planting. What's next? I'm getting nervous. I'm going to kill you." He said, No, okay, now I want you to find the biggest tree in my kingdom, and I want you to strip all the bark from the tree, and I want you to plant it in the ground with concrete, and then start climbing up and down, up and down. He said, "Yes, master." So he goes, he finds the biggest tree, just like you have these big trees out there, and he strips all the bark off, and he sands it really smooth, and he digs a big hole, and he plants it in the ground, puts some concrete in it, and starts climbing up and down, up and down. He says, "Master, what's next? What's next?" He said, "Just keep doing that until I tell you." So he keeps going up and down. He says, "Master, you tricked me." He said, No, you just do what I tell you. Keep going up and down. So, in this way, he controlled the genie.
so whenever you needed something to do, then he
Okay, now wait a minute. Let me ask you a question. What's the moral of the story, Krishna 1?
be smart.
No, see? You know the story, you don't know the moral. Why did I just tell the story? What was the question that was asked? What did...
How can you control your mind?
How can you control? So, what can you compare the genie to? The mad genie that'll kill you unless you keep it busy. Huh?
You need to keep on working. It's always restless.
No, wait a minute. Okay, so what is that pole that he's going up and down? No? Huh?
Trying to make our mind busy with
No? No? It's chanting Hare Krishna. When in doubt, what do you do? When you're not sure what to do, what do? You chant Hare Krishna. If every spare moment you keep the mind busy chanting Hare Krishna, then you can do what then? You can control the mind. You got the answer to your question now, Mayapur? No, you don't go like this to control the mind. You go Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That's the way to control the mind.
Do they still have genies?
What? Your mind is a genie, a mad genie. If you don't control it, it goes out of control.
Like, yeah.
Your mind is already a mad genie.
But do they have like genies who are real? Like, not physical?
How could I tell the story unless there was something real like that?
Well, like, if you say that.
Look, there's a saying in English, the idle mind is the devil's workshop. So let's repeat that. An idle mind, no, repeat it after me. An idle mind is the devil's workshop. Let's say it again. An idle mind is the devil's workshop. One more time. An idle mind is the devil's workshop. Who can explain what this means? Yes. What if you keep your mind busy playing a pinball machine?
What is a pinball machine?
Or what if you keep your mind busy playing a video game?
If your mind is doing like service, then it will have time to think about materialistic.
Yeah, you can keep your mind busy. People keep their minds busy by watching movies, cartoons, reading nonsense books, talking nonsense, But that's not going to save it from the devil's workshop. You have to keep your mind engaged always and thinking of Krishna in one positive way or another. So one positive way of thinking about Krishna is always chanting Hare Krishna. Another positive way is making intelligent plans to serve Krishna and then executing them, then doing them.
So I have a question. You know how you were telling the story? But like, is he still doing that? Or he died?
No, he's still doing that. Genies don't die. The king outsmarted the genie. And you have to outsmart the genie of your mind by keeping it always engaged.
I'll be like, Genie, go and destroy the whole Russia.
No. You should want to make your mind Krishna conscious.
Genie, go and get some gold.
No.
And after
No, that doesn't. See, you're not being kind to the genie. You want to make the genie Krishna conscious.
Genie, chant Hare Krishna.
There you go.
For ecstatic.
Yeah.
One round then. Okay. And after, Genie, go get some cows, get all of them nice, decorated, and after get some babies, get a house, get everything.
No, not get everything. Make everything Krishna conscious. Okay. All right. So now you get the idea. An idle mind is devil's workshop. If you don't keep your mind engaged in Krishna consciousness, it'll go towards Maya or illusory things, and you'll waste so much time. So the second symptom of a person who's in the stage of bhava is they use their time correctly. They don't waste a second. And the third is they are not attached to the objects of sense gratification. So, let's say someone says, hey, there's a really cool movie to see. It's all about, Terminator 4. So,
Terminator 4, it came out.
it's coming out soon. And keep your eye open for it. It's coming out soon. So, is that something? Okay, let's subject Terminator 4 to the three questions, the filter. Okay, point one. Is it true or false? The whole thing is false. Right. Number two, is it going to help me in Krishna consciousness to watch terminate. Yes, Arushi. Well, no, we changed number 2 a little bit. Is it going to help me in Krishna consciousness? No. Okay. Number 3, is it pleasing to Krishna? Terminator 4. No. So what's the question? Am I going to go watch Terminator 4? Nope. Very good. We subjected it to the filter of nonsense.
Best movie.
Huh?
The best movie what's coming out this year is Black Panther.
Don't talk nonsense, okay? Don't talk nonsense. Okay, so now, point 3 is that one is completely indifferent or detached from the objects of sense gratification. So, is our japa beads an object of sense gratification? Well, it depends on how you use them. You might use them to choke someone, right? Then it would be an object of sense gratification. But if you use them to chant Hare Krishna, then it's not an object of sense gratification. So, anything in this world can be used either positively in Krishna's service or used to serve Maya or illusion. Anything. So let's say there's a knife. How would you use the knife in Krishna's service?
Chocolate.
Yes, Arush. For what reason? Yes. So, now is there a way of misusing the knife?
Yeah.
Yes.
Killing someone.
For example. Yeah. Or wounding someone. So anything can be used either positively in Krishna service or negatively to cause harm. Anything. How about a baseball bat? Can you use it in Krishna service?
Yeah.
How would you use it in Krishna service?
To walk away.
What? Squish vegetables?
No, to walk the ants.
Huh? Whack the ants? Are you crazy?
What?
Have you gone nuts? We don't whack ants with bats or anything. We don't whack ants, period. There's living entities. How about if we whack Krishna 1 with the bat? How would you like that? If you don't like it, then why would the ants like it? They're also living entities. No, you could use the bat. You could make a fire with the bat and cook chapatis.
Fend off like invaders.
You can fend off bad guys. Yes. Right. Okay, so now point number 4 is person who's in a state of bhava, feeling ecstasy when they chant Hare Krishna. They're free of the false ego. They don't have false ego, false pride, false prestige. They always feel very humble, and they're not always seeking to have recognition and respect. They're very satisfied just doing service. It's another symptom of a person who's in a state of bhava. And another thing is, a person in a state of bhava is always expecting the goodwill of Krishna, and they're always waiting for the mercy of Krishna, and while they're waiting for the mercy of Krishna, they're working hard, performing devotional service. So they always have hope, because they have faith in Krishna. And then number 6, they have a lot of eagerness and energy to develop love for Krishna. Just like a rich man, a businessman who always has a lot of energy and hope to make more money. But the devotee always has a lot of energy and hope to develop love for Krishna. Put it down, don't play with it. And then another symptom of a person in bhava is they're always chanting Hare Krishna. They feel great happiness. Okay, so these are different symptoms of achieving this transcendental state. Yes?
The first point is they are very tolerant.
Yes.
So, how we are able to tolerate is what they are thinking or
Stop that. We just don't touch it. Just put it down. Yes.
what they are thinking while something nonsense.
Well, let's say, what would you be thinking if there was something nonsense going on?
So that basically in that case, that it is now like if it is not affecting me or my surroundings, then I will ignore it. If it is affecting me, then I'll react to that one.
Well, okay. React means, it's just exactly what it says, react. It's not a positive thing. If the thing is negative and you're reacting to it, then your reaction is also negative. Isn't it? Right. It's not a proactive thing, it's a reactive thing. So it's causing you to react, and the thing by nature is negative, so your reaction is going to be negative also, right? Therefore, the ability to persevere, in other words, remain patient even in a disturbing situation, is a transcendental quality. Now, there are certain things, like let's say someone's choking your wife to death and you remain patient and tolerant. Does that make sense? No. There's certain situations where that would be the wrong thing to do, right? But someone is, let's say, causing a disturbance, let's say not in the temple, but outside, right? Like sometimes somebody's alarm goes off in their car, and then a loud noise is going, right? So, do you run up to the car with a baseball bat and start hitting it to stop making noise?
No.
Do you start screaming, who owns this car? Come out here. This is not, what are you going to do? There's not much you can do. You can just tolerate it, right? Either the battery of the car will go dead, or the person who owns the car will come running out and turn off the alarm, right? So there's certain things in life, most things in life, you have to tolerate. Let's say you have an itch. Should you scratch the itch?
Yeah.
You should?
No, just like rub it.
Well, should you rub the itch?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What happens when you rub the itch?
It goes away.
Will it come back again?
Maybe.
No, for sure it comes back again. It comes back worse. What if you scratch it again?
Yeah.
There's certain things you have to tolerate in life. Right? If someone insults Krishna, you should not tolerate that, or Prabhupada. But other things, if someone insults you, should you tolerate it or should you react?
Yeah.
Huh? Tolerate it. Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to react, and it's just going to create more trouble. So, the devotee is perseverant, meaning they remain patient even when there's disturbance. Why? Because they have a higher purpose in life. What is the purpose? Okay, so there are 5 factors that one should take into consideration for every action that we're going to undertake. Do you know what the 5 factors are?
No.
Okay. Factor number 1, the place of the action. Factor number 2, the senses. Factor number 3, the body or the person that's going to act. Factor number 4, the endeavor itself. Factor number 5, Krishna. Okay. So how many factors did Arjuna take into account when he refused to fight in the Battle of Kurukshetra? Huh? 4. Which one did he not take into account? Krishna. Right. That's why he made the wrong decision. So, before you act, you have to take into consideration the 5 factors. So let's say your neighbor is neighbor's dog is barking, right? And you're trying to study, let's say, and it's disturbing you. So how would you decide what to do? What are the 5 factors? First is the place of the action, right? Well, obviously the action is going to take place in the body, but also your body's in your apartment, and a neighbor's dog is barking, let's say, upstairs. So first you have to consider the place, right? Now, the dog is not barking in your apartment. The dog is barking in the neighbor's apartment, which belongs to the neighbor, and the dog belongs to the neighbor. Let's say the neighbor is not at home, and the dog is on the balcony barking. So, do you get a shotgun, walk outside, and point it at the dog that's on the balcony and shoot to solve the problem? Some people do that. Some people do things like that. Right?
Throw a ball up there.
Huh?
You throw a ball up there so
You would throw a ball up there?
then I can play with it.
What if you throw it too hard and it breaks the neighbor's window?
No, I just throw it up there. It doesn't even go like that.
Yeah. Okay, so first thing you consider is the place, right? So the dog is in the neighbor's apartment on the balcony, and you're you're below the apartment. So now you have to consider, there's not much you can do because that property of the neighbor doesn't belong to you, neither does the dog. So secondly is the senses. Your eyes, your ears, your nose, the tongue, the skin, and the mind. Well, your mind is agitated by this nonsense dog, right? Yeah. So your mind is agitated. Is that a good state in which to make a decision when you're agitated? No. Number 3, the person. Well, you're a person, right? Now, are you a person who identifies with the body, or are you a person who identifies with the soul? Well, obviously, what's being disturbed is not your soul. It's just your body, the false ego, the mind, the ears, and so forth. And then number 4 is the endeavor itself. Are you going to climb up to the neighbor's balcony and tell the dog to shut up? Or maybe, try and choke it or something, or fight with it, or what are you going to do? Put some poison, here, Rufus, here, eat this, and poison. I mean, you have to think, what endeavor are you going to take to stop the dog from barking, right? So now the last point is, Krishna, will Krishna be happy if I kill the dog? Right, the dog's a living entity, right? So now what are you going to do? What course of action are you going to take after going through those 5 points? Well, one course of action would be to tolerate it, because the dog's not going to bark forever. He's going to eventually get tired, right?
After like 2-second break.
You could write a complaint to the manager of the the landlord. You could write a complaint to the landlord. You could call the police. It's possible you could call the police.
What if the neighbor
Actually, toleration would be the best thing to do, right?
Can I sing Yashomati?
What?
The 3 questions you need to ask.
Filter of nonsense. Jai, Jagannath Subhadra Baladev Govinda. Jai Lakshmi Sri Devi ki Jai, Sitaram Lakshmi Hanuman ki Jai.
You want to sing?
यशोमती नंदन ब्रज वरुणागर गोकुल कान यशोमती नंदन ब्रज वरुणागर गोकुल रंजन काना गोपी परनदन मदन मनोहरा गोपी परनदन मदन मनोहरा कालिय दमन विधाना अमला हरिना अमिय विलासा विपिन पुरंदर नवीन नगर बोरा बंसी बजान सुबासा
Braj Jana Palana Surakulana Sana Braj Jana Palana Surakulana Sana Nanda Godano Rakovala Govinda Madhava Namanita Tashkara Govinda Madhava Namanita Tashkara Sundara Nanda Gopala Sundarananda Gopala Jamuna Tata Chara Gopi Vasanara Jamuna Tata Chara Gopi Vasanara Rasa Rasika Kripa Moya Shri Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Natavara Shri Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Natavara Bhakti Vinoda Shaya Bhakti Vinoda Shaya Yashomati Nandana Brajajana Nandana Kokula Ranjana Kana Yashomati Nandana Vajabaranagara Okula Ranjana Kana Jaya Radha Nilamada Radha Nilamada Radha Jaya Jagannatha Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Sitaram Sitaram Jaya Sitaram Jaya Lakshmana Hanuman Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. He said, this way. drawing.
So let's do a little review of what we learned today. We learned, number one, the 4 symptoms of pure devotion. 4 symptoms of pure devotion. So, point 1. What? First symptom of pure devotion is rendering service favorably for the pleasure of Krishna. Number 2, no desire for material profit from the service. One does it only for benefiting Krishna. One does not expect anything in return. Right? Number 3, no philosophical speculation. Right? No foolish speculation. Right? Number 4, uninterrupted. Right. Okay, so those are the 4 symptoms of pure devotion. You should be able to recognize those 4 symptoms within your own motivations for serving Krishna. Right? Should be done favorably. In other words, the service should be pleasing to Krishna. Like, if Krishna says, offer me with love and devotion a leaf, and you offer a marijuana leaf, will that please Krishna? It's a leaf, right? Yes? Offer service favorably. Favorably. So, can I offer a marijuana leaf to Krishna? What kind of leaf does Krishna want? Tulsi, right? So, it's not just any leaf, it's a specific leaf. He wants Tulsi, right? Okay, and then number 2, there should be no desire for material profit from the service. Just like, I remember when we opened up our restaurant, My Sweet Lord, I said it was going to be a free restaurant, and everyone objected. Why free? You know, I know how to make this soup, and it only costs like 50 cents, and you can sell it for $3. I said, no, we don't want to do that. We want to give it out for free. Why free? No, it's not Prabhupada's program to sell for free, to give it out for free. I said, it's not. That's his whole program. Prasadam is free. Said, no, we should make it a paying restaurant. We're making money. We can make pancakes every Sunday morning, make a lot of money. Shri Radha Nilamada Ki Jai, Hare Krishna. Anyway, we did not make a commercial restaurant. It was free. Everyone that came to the restaurant, they said, it's free? I said, yes. Said, are you sure there's no gimmick here? I said, no, there's no gimmick, it's free. How can you do it for free? Well, because our Guru Dev wants it to be free, that's why. We're giving out prasadam, we're not giving out food, we're giving out prasadam. Is there a difference between food and prasadam? Yes. What's the difference? Yes. That's one difference, yes. And prasadam is the mercy of Krishna, right? So should we sell the mercy of Krishna? No. Okay, so the first thing we learned today was the 4 symptoms of pure devotional service, okay? And then the second thing we learned were 7 principles of logic. Okay, what are the 7 principles of logic? Arush.
Accept everything that is favorable to Krishna. Reject anything unfavorable to
Right.
Always remember that it is not forget.
Okay, wait a minute. Okay, number 3 is always remember Krishna. Number 4 is never forget Krishna. Okay, number 5. When in doubt, ask Shiksha or Diksha Guru. Number 6. Only do things that are pleasing to Krishna. Number 7. Always subject anything doubtful to the triangle of verification. So any triangle has 3 points. What are those 3 points? Well, yeah, Guru, Shastra, and Sadhana. Or yes. So those are 7 points of logic. If you follow these 7 points of logic, you probably never make a mistake the rest of your life. Who wants to make a lot of mistakes in life? Raise your hand. You want to make a lot of mistakes, Krishna one? Okay. So is it a good thing to know these 7 points of logic? Yeah, it'll help you avoid a lot of trouble in life. Okay, so let's go over them again. Point 1, 7 points of logic. Arush. Yes, for Krishna's service, yes. Point 2. Right. Point 3. Right. And point 4. Right. Point 5. Point 6. Pleasing to Krishna. Right. Point 7. Right. Okay. Then we learn the 3 principles to filter out nonsense in our life. What are those 3 principles? Point 1. Yes. What? Is it true or false? Yes. What are we going to say, my friend? Does it help me in Krishna consciousness, right? Number 3.
Does it please Krishna?
Is it pleasing to Krishna, right? If you get no for any one of those 3 points, what should you do?
Don't listen.
Yeah, don't listen to it. I don't want, not interested, right? Okay? So there's a filter. And then we discuss the symptoms of someone who's attained the state of bhava. You don't have to know all of them, but we should just learn the first 2. You have something to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
What if the person tricks you, but it's not actually any of the answers, but then he just says yes.
Well, no, I mean, then you would know that person, you cannot trust that person in the future because they were willing to lie. Okay? So now that's a test. It's not only a test to filter out nonsense, it's a test to filter out who's telling the truth and who's lying. There's 2 tests that are affected by those 3 points. Okay, so now symptoms of pure of a person who is in a state of bhava. Symptom 1. Yes. Huh? Perseverance. Yes. What does perseverance mean? Huh? Tolerate. To be patient and tolerant even in the most disturbing circumstances. That means a person is actually experiencing bhava, transcendental ecstasy, chanting Hare Krishna. Okay, and point 2. Huh? Yes, yes.
They use their time correctly and
yes.
they do not waste their time.
No wasting time. That's another symptom of someone who's in a state of bhava, the ecstatic state of chanting Hare Krishna. Okay? So if we can just remember those two, we'll go over more of that next week. But if we can learn those two, that's the best. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to discuss today is there's a saying in English which is he follows the letter of the law but not the spirit of the law. Who knows what that means? He follows the letter of the law but not the spirit of the law. Yes? Say that again?
He understands the law, but he doesn't follow it?
In a sense, yes, but not really. No, that's not what it means. But yes.
You're following it, but you're not understanding the law.
No. Yes.
Could it be you're following the law, but you don't want to follow the law, and you're kind of like half-heartedly following?
No. No. Yes.
Following the law, but you don't know the true intention.
Hey, you're getting really close now. You're getting really close. No. No. Huh? Yeah, he just went far away. He took us out the wrong way there. Krishna one. Yeah.
He knows what the law is, but he doesn't know why it's there.
No. Okay. Following the letter of the law, but not the spirit of the law, means you just take the words for what they say, but not actually what they're aiming for. Like, for example, there's a story of Prabhupada tells a story. It's from a play of Shakespeare called Shylock. In this story, Shakespeare is analyzing the difference between following the letter of the law and the spirit of the law. Okay, let me give you an example from the Bible first, and then we'll go into Shakespeare. In the Bible, when Jesus was present, he was sort of against the people who were following Judaism strictly by adhering to the letter of the law, adhering to the laws of the Old Testament, but not actually understanding or not actually following the spirit of the law. So, one law that was very strictly followed was that on the holy day called the Sabbath, which for Jews is Saturday, no one should do any work, because God created the world in 6 days, and then he rested the seventh day. So and that's in the Bible, in the Genesis, the first book of the Bible, when it talks about creation. So therefore, they made it a rule that you should work 6 days a week, but the seventh day you should rest. Right? So no one should do any work. And if you did some work, it was considered sinful. So, when Jesus came, he was helping people every day of the week. Right? So like sometimes sick people would come to him and he would heal them. And he did it on the holy day, the Sabbath day when you're supposed to be resting. So the people who were following the letter of the law, they came up to him and said, "You have violated God's law." And then Jesus spoke a parable. Now there's a difference between a parable and a fable. Do you know the difference between a parable and a fable? Anyway, the difference is a fable, they usually use animals in the fable. Like, the Panchatantra stories, they're usually about animals. Right? But a parable, it's about people. So Jesus' parable was, if on the holy day a man's horse falls into a well, would he come and try and save it, or would he say, it's Sunday, I shouldn't do anything according to the law? Yeah, I mean, a horse is a valuable thing, right? So yeah, he would try and save the horse, right? That's the that'd be the reasonable thing to do. So he said, my healing people on the holy day, on Sunday when people should take rest, is the same. I'm doing something that's absolutely necessary to save a person's life. Just like it's absolutely necessary for the owner of the horse to save the horse because that falls into a well, right? So, what is the letter of the law and what is the spirit of the law? The letter of the law is, God worked 6 days for creation according to the Bible, and then he rested the seventh day. But if there's some emergency, then you should take care of the emergency. Let's say your child falls into the well. Would you say, oh, it's a Sunday, I shouldn't do anything? No, you would try and save the child. So there's a difference between following the letter of the law, like strictly following the law. Like, for example, once there was a very rich man, and he was riding in a big chariot, and he had these servants that were walking behind the chariot. So one day, his water bottle fell off the chariot. Right. So after a little while, he asked for water, and the servant said, "Oh, the water bottle fell off." He said, "What?" He said, "And nobody picked it up?" He said, "Well, you didn't tell us to pick it up." He said, "Do I have to tell you everything? Don't you have any common sense?" He said, "From now on, anything that falls off the chariot, you have to pick it up. You understand?" He said, "Okay." Huh? So then they were riding, and the horses jumped up, and the rich guy fell off the chariot, right? So all the servants just kept walking. And he started screaming, "Why don't you pick me up?" They said, "Well, sir, you told us not to pick up anything that falls off the chariot." Said, "Well, you guys are stupid. You're idiots. It's me that fell off." Well, you see, there's a difference between following the letter of the law and the spirit of the law, right? So in this case, they were just following the letter of the law, and they didn't have the common sense that, okay, he fell off the chariot this time, so therefore we should pick him up, right? But no, he gave him an order, don't pick up anything that falls off the chariot. So they were just following the letter of the law. You see the difference now between following the letter and the spirit? Yes?
Wasn't the order to pick up anything that falls off?
Maybe, but anyway, you got the point though, right? So, now in the story of Shylock, Prabhupada tells this story, by the way. There's a merchant in Venice, Hare Krishna, and he's a money lender. His name is Shylock, and he makes an agreement with this man named Antonio that he's going to loan him some money, but if he can't repay the loan, he'll take a pound of flesh from Antonio. So this is one of those, horrible loans. It's like a loan shark. Makes these type of conditions. So what happens is that Antonio falls into bad times, and he's not able to pay back the loan. So this loan shark, Skylark, comes up and says, "Okay, you got to pay me back, with a pound of your flesh." So then Antonio's wife, her name is Portia, she starts discussing with the loan shark. He said, look, this is not compassionate. This is not merciful. I mean, how can you ask him to cut off his own flesh to pay you back? It's just like you're going to kill him by doing that. And she starts making up all these good arguments, and he refuses. So then, to make a long story short, Portia looks at the contract, and it says, if you can't pay back the loan, you have to pay with a pound of flesh. So she reads it like a lawyer, and she said, well, it's impossible. And then Skylark said, what do you mean it's impossible? So I want a pound of flesh. She said, yeah, but it's not possible to give you a pound of flesh without him bleeding. And you didn't say that you wanted any blood. So how can you give you a pound of flesh without blood? So therefore, we don't owe you anything. So she tricked him by doing the same thing, ignoring the spirit of the law and just interpreting the letter of the law. See? Just like, I'll give you another example. Once a man sold a house for $1. So obviously there were thousands of people that came to buy the house because the house was worth $500,000. And he said, yeah, but there's one condition. And people said, what's that condition? He said, I keep one room in the house. So most of the people said, no, we refuse. One person said, no, it's a great deal, only $1, it's worth $500,000. Okay, you can keep one room. Right. So he buys the house, he gives $1, and then the man starts keeping dead cats in that room. Now, if you keep a dead cat, if there's one, okay, eventually the smell goes away. But he kept hundreds of them piled up in that room, filled the room up with dead cats. And finally, the stench, the smell, permeated the whole house and made it impossible to live in the house. So then the people said, well, we own this house, except for that one room. Let's sell it. So they tried to sell it. Nobody wanted to buy it. So then they begged the man that sold it to him to buy it back. He said, yeah, okay. I'll buy it back for $1. Right. So he got, they lost everything. And all the money they invested in the house, and he got it back. So that is what you call a bad deal. Right? And there's a saying in English, no deal is better than a bad deal. No deal is better than a bad deal. So if you make a bad deal, you can get cheated very easily. Just like the people that bought the house, they got cheated. So if you stick to the letter of the law and don't understand the spirit of the law, you will also, it's easy to make mistakes like that. Just like the man says, don't pick up anything that falls off the chariot. So he falls off and they just leave him there and keep going. So you have to understand both things, the letter of the law and the spirit of the law. Just like it says, you should chant 16 rounds every day. That's the law. It doesn't mean you can only chant 16 rounds. It's 16 rounds minimum. You can chant as many rounds as you want, right? But you should not do less than 16. And if you miss one day, you should make it up the next day. The idea is that we should spend at least 1.5, 2 hours every day just meditating on the names of Krishna. And that's to purify the mind and the senses. Okay, so this is the... So there's another interesting story in the Bible about the letter of the law and the spirit of the law. There were certain Jewish priests who were very strict about following the letter of the law. And they had strict definitions on who is a genuine member of their religion and who is not. So their religion has let's call it a racist element to it. The racist element is that you can only be a Jew if your mother is a Jew. And if your father is a Jew, your mother is not a Jew, then you're not considered a Jew. You're not considered a member of that religion. They don't accept, well, the strict ones don't accept conversion. So there were a group of people who were Jewish, but they intermarried with other people who were non-Jewish. So they were looked down upon. So one day, there was a man, a Jewish man, and he was traveling from one city to another, and he had an accident, and he became injured seriously. And there were two priests, Jewish priests, that walked past him, and they saw him, but he had blood on his body, and they're not allowed to touch blood because they're priests. So they ignored him. And then one man came by who was a member of that other group of Jews that had intermarried with outside people, and they were looked down upon by the strict Jews. And he picked up that man, carried him to a hotel, paid for his room, paid for his food, and paid for the doctor. So, and then he came back every day to make sure the man was being fed properly, the doctor was coming, and so forth. So now the question was, who was actually a real friend of that man? Yes? Yeah, the guy that helped him. And now the guy that helped him was looked down upon by the priests because he was a member of that group that intermarried with non-Jews, right? And they looked down and they wouldn't even, think of associating with that man. But the Jewish guy that got injured, he realized that that man was his real friend and not the other ones who were just following, strictly the law of their sect. See, so we see that the spirit of the law is we should be compassionate to all living entities, just like there's a rule, like in India they talk about what is that? Being kind to certain people are referred to as Daridra Narayana. You know what Daridra Narayana means? Okay, Daridra Narayana means, okay, some of the adults know what's Daridra Narayana. You know it.
Poor Narayana.
Poor Narayana, yes. So they think that helping poor people is like serving Narayana. And they call them Daridra Narayana, poor Narayana. Okay. So Prabhupada was speaking about this one day, and he said, why should they only serve Daridra Narayana? Why don't they serve Kukur Narayana? Kukur Narayana means the dog Narayana. Why don't they serve the goat Narayana? What is it called? Chaga Narayana?
Goat?
Yeah. Bakri. Okay, Bakri Narayana. Why don't they serve, the cat Narayana? And so forth. Why just Daridra Narayana? Why don't they serve, rich Narayana also instead of just poor Narayana? So why did he say that? Because Krishna says, Vidya Vinaya Sampane Brahmani Gavi Hastine Suni Chaiva Svapakecha Pandita Samadarshina. A genuine devotee has equal vision. He sees equally the presence of Krishna in the heart of all living entities. So why should he only serve one class of living entity, Daridra Narayana? And why not Kukur Narayana and the other people? Because Narayana or Krishna is in the heart of every living entity, right? So we see that people make these silly concepts up, and they make emotional appeals, but actually they're violating Krishna's instructions. So that's called philosophical or philosophical speculation. And whenever there's any type of speculation like that, it ends up being nonsense, right? That's why you're not allowed to speculate philosophically in devotional service. You have to just follow the previous acharyas and Krishna's teaching. So he says that one should have equal vision, samadarshi. One should see that Krishna is in the heart of all living entities, the ant as well as the poor man and the rich man, and you should try and help everyone become Krishna conscious, not just one class of people. Okay? All right, so we'll stop right there. So, okay, who's going to summarize what we learned today? Mayapur is going to summarize everything? Can you summarize one thing, Mayapur, that we learned today? What's that? Filter out nonsense, right? So how do you do that? Very good. Okay, anybody else want to summarize? Yes. The 7 what? Of logic. Yes, logic. Logic. Yes, go ahead. Wait a minute. Let him. What are they? Come on, go ahead. Yes? Right? Stop that. Ask who? Yes. Yes. Number 6. Excellent. Number 7. What's that? What was that? Number 7? Yes. Very good. Very good. Okay, yes, probably good. What did you learn today? Okay, go ahead. What are they?
Number 1, rendering service favorable to Krishna.
Yes,
Number 2, no material desires for profit.
you're right.
Number 3, no foolish speculation.
Right.
Number 4, not
Excellent. Very good. What else did we learn today? Krishna 1.
Okay, I learned all of whatever they said, and we also learned about what's it called, like
The first 2 symptoms of bhava.
first. No, there's like this. It's like how you see it, like the spiritual something, like speculation of the thing.
Okay.
And the material one.
Okay, wait. Yes, go ahead. Quiet. Let's listen. Yeah. Very good. Yeah, those are two symptoms of bhava. There are more, but we just learned those 2. Is there anything else we learned? Mayapur, did you learn anything else? Yes, son.
How to control the mind.
Yes, how to control the mind. How do you and yeah, and the difference between the letter of the law and the spirit of the law. So good. Thank you very much, and we'll continue tomorrow.
Haribol.
Mayapur will continue sleeping tomorrow, yes.